Hello, this video is about suggestions and advice with could and should, but it's going to be a review of what we saw, of everything that we have seen. So first of all, modal verbs. What are modal verbs? So they are helping verbs. So that means that they go before the main verb. And it says, this one says, you should buy a new plane ticket. So here we have the modal verb, and then here we have the main verb. And it goes, in this case, it goes in simple form. So you should buy a new plane ticket, simple form. And then just the modal verb, the helping verb. We also saw that could and should have different, like, one is weaker than the other. Could is weaker than should, and should is stronger than could. And here in the affirmative, we saw these examples. You should try new food. They could buy souvenirs for their friends, and he should take good care of his passport. And if we remember, we said that you should, or like just should, it is deberías, and could is podrías. So you should try new food. Deberías probar comida nueva. They could buy souvenirs for their friends. Ellos podrían comprar souvenirs for their friends. So should, deberías, could, podrías. And if we remember, the structure would be the subject, then the modal verb, the main verb in simple form, and the complement. So now for negative. Here we have the examples. When you go to the beach, you shouldn't forget your sunscreen. You shouldn't drink water from the tap. And he should not buy expensive things on his trip. We saw that for negative, when we're talking about advice or suggestions, we can only use should. We can't use could. We can't use could. So we can't use could when we're talking about suggestions and advice. So we are only using should not or shouldn't. So the structure would be first the subject, then the should not or shouldn't, then the main verb in simple form, and then the complement if we have a complement. Then questions. Also, just like this one in negative questions, also you can't use could. You can't use could in questions when it's about advice or suggestions. So we are only using should. So should I go to Canada? Should we book a hotel? Where should I go on vacation next year? What should I do? We can see that there's two types of questions. There are yes, no questions and WH questions. Yes, no questions start with should, then the subject, then the main verb in simple form, and the complement if we have a complement, and the question mark. WH questions or information questions start with WH, the WH word, then should, then the subject, then the main verb in simple form, and the complement if we have one, and finally the question mark. So that's the structure for questions. This one for yes, no questions. Should I go to Canada? Yes, you should. No, you shouldn't. WH questions, information questions. What should I do? You should go to a doctor. You should buy a new TV. So those are the two types of questions. So now here I have 4 exercises. And the first one, you have to turn it into negative. The second one, you have to turn it into affirmative. The third one, you have to turn it into question. And the fourth one, it's scrambled, so you have to unscramble it in order to make a sentence, a correct sentence. So I'm gonna give you a few seconds to do that. You can pause the video if you want to, and then we'll check them all together. So go ahead. Okay, so let's check the answers. The first one says, you should see all of the tourist attractions, and we have to write it in negative. So we have to turn it into negative, and it would be, you shouldn't, so you shouldn't see all of the tourist attractions. Number 2 says, he shouldn't go to the nightclubs in that country. And we have to, it's negative, we have to change it into affirmative. So the answer would be, he should go to the nightclubs in that country. Number 3, I should sell my house, and we have to change it into a question. So the question should be, should I sell my house? And the last one, could a new pet get you? Since we don't have a question mark, it would be affirmative, and it would be, you could get a new pet. So that would be it. As we have seen, this is everything to give suggestions and advice using could or should. We saw that could and should could be used in affirmative, but only should can be used in negative, and questions when we're talking about suggestions and advice. So that would be everything for this video. I hope that it was clear for you guys, and that would be it. Bye.